All right, welcome to day 14 of 100 Days of Surrender. 2 weeks in, I'm actually really enjoying this process in this moment. Not all the moments, but in this moment. Sorry, my mic is super weird because I'm trying not to let it hit my zipper. And I just got back from the gym, so I'm all slimy. All right, let's talk about change. Um, I want to share a little bit of my story. So this might be a little bit of a longer one. You might want to grab a cup of coffee or something. I want to share how I arrived here, what it looks like going through this journey, and talk about change. Yesterday, Sarah Rose and I recorded a podcast, which is up on Spotify. The link for all that stuff is on diamondno.com. Okay. We talked about self abandonment. And my brain has always just sort of looked at lack of self love for myself, the not loving my, like not feeling worthy, not truly loving myself, coming from a lot of trauma, man. And so when Sarah Rose pinned self abandonment yesterday in our podcast, my mind, I was like, oh my God, like we need to talk about this more often. And that sort of led into a deeper reflection of my past and how I've sort of arrived here. So I'm not going to touch on that because there's amazing tips. Sarah Rose and I both give all of our tips and tools on what self abandonment is and how to navigate out of that in the podcast. So instead, here of revisiting all of that, I'm going to talk about my journey and change, how to create change. So if nothing changes, nothing changes at all. And I have a very high drive, very, very high drive, like abnormal high drive. And the reason I have that is because I was hell bent, like, no way I wanted to live the life that my birth parents created for themselves. Wasn't doing it. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, who love her to a million pieces, she's now transitioned about 11 years ago. She had a lot of drive, but didn't understand self-love and did a lot of self-abandonment. So these are the examples that I sort of had. Not she was the I'm trying to tiptoe around not bashing anyone because that's not my intention ever. So I'm not bashing my parents. I'm not bashing my childhood. Um, so I just want to set that tone there, but I'm going to speak very unfiltered about this. And to no judgment or anger or resentment, no negativity towards my birth parents whatsoever. My personal opinion is that they were children that were just not ready to have children and had their own trials and tribulations and their own pain. And when we look through that veil of pain, we project it onto others unknowingly. So I'll start with that. My childhood, the abuse started. I remember the first time I was beaten. Um, yeah, I was okay. So I was born with every memory of my past life. I was born remembering being in my mom's womb, being birthed, her trying to breastfeed me, all of it. And at a very, very, very young age, I was gifted the ability to watch projection and abuse that was being portrayed onto me without really truly believing it was mine. There was just something in my awareness that allowed me to not own it, to look at, wow, this person's in a lot of pain. This is a projection. This isn't me. Now, as I navigated into my teens, that flipped and I became very angry and very frustrated, right? Hormones come into play. So there's that. So my first beating, I was two, right in and around my birthday. And I remember being bruised and very sore from that. My first rape was at the age of just before I turned 4. I remember that very clearly. It was my babysitter's son. And when the babysitter had realized that what had happened, like grabbed me, slammed me on the counter to sort of clean me up before my mom picked me up and convinced me that I was the devil, that I was the devil and I made it happen. And when my mother came to pick my sister and I up, my sister was just a baby at this point, still in like a little seat thing. Like she was only like 6 months old. And the woman had said to my mom, "This one's the devil. She creates trauma. This is the devil. We don't want her. And this is an angel," pointing to my sister. And my sister is incredible, by the way. I don't know her now, unfortunately, but I have a lot of love for that woman. So you kind of go through the years and without giving away too much, dirty laundry, my sister was very favored by my mother, although my mother did some intense abuse to her as well. My journey looked like endless beatings, um, a lot of malicious conversations about my body, a lot of sexual abuse that I don't even think that particular person, we'll say person, female person, was aware that it was sexual abuse or extremely intrusive on my body. A lot of mockery, a lot of picking on, a lot of, you're not very smart. So I'm dyslexic. So that came across as me being stupid, apparently. Meanwhile, my IQ is extremely high. So there's that. Um, this makes me super uncomfortable to talk about. I don't know why. And I feel it's like I don't want to put anybody in a bad light. Anyway, there's a reason why I'm sharing all of this. So I got to my teens, became my first suicide attempt actually was at 8 years old. Um, there was a dam. We lived in a small little village and there was a dam and I had acted like I was going for a walk and I was going to throw myself into the dam. I was 8. What 8-year-old wants to commit suicide? Like there's some shit going on if that's the case. But my words were never heard. My emotions were never understood. I was always labeled as the dumb one whose head is in the clouds. I had too many imaginary friends, but my imaginary friend was actually my future self. So this is a really interesting dynamic. When you understand the power of 369, which unknowingly I understood at a very young age, you can actually tap into future past self into the present moment and create substantial change. And I've been doing a lot of work, obviously, with my inner child for a long, long, long time because she needs a lot of love. She's hurt. And so when you understand the power 369, some people might call this time travel, other people might call it the ability to tap in. But my imaginary friend was actually this version of me about 3 years ago, me. So there was this weird connection, which made me feel like I was crazy. Continue on through my teens, and I shut down all of my gifts. We became Jehovah's Witnesses. That's a whole box of fear right there. Very, very strict faith. Like so insane, but anyway, it was really hard. And I shut down and tried to go through the motions. I would lose myself in music. That was my escape, still sometimes is. Um, but the abuse didn't stop. And then there was, at the age of 18, an excessive amount of pressure to marry the first man that asked me, and he was quite a bit older. And so my 18-year-old brain was like, I'll do that. I'll get out of the house. And that didn't turn out very well. There's some abuse there as well, obviously. 2 surprise babies while I was pregnant with my daughter. Um, I was inundated with fear at this point in my life. So I was just before I turned 20, gave birth to my daughter. And I was so insecure and small and fearful and abandoning myself hardcore, terrified of the world. My anxiety was so high that I couldn't leave the house. A thunderstorm would send me into a spiral of the fear of Armageddon, which is part of that faith. I felt like because I could talk to Galactic Council, because I was psychic, because I am a medium, that, oh my God, what if I am the devil? And this is like part of the teachings of that faith is that, none of these things are real and that's Satan trying to snare you in, sort of thing. So fast forward a little bit further, when I finally get a divorce at like 23, had my son, divorced, out of there. Like, oh my God, that whole gap from 23 to 30 was probably the hardest time of my life. The hardest time of my life. Full abandonment from my family, the messiest divorce, the messiest child custody battle, messy. I ended up homeless for a short amount of time. And then that's when I turned it all back on. Homeless, hardcore. Um, had a great job, just didn't have the savings in order to launch myself into the world. And so turned it back on, and I turned it on hard, and I became very fierce with it. I became still very broken, obviously. I hadn't really began the healing journey in my 20s, about 23, 24. Um, at this point in my life, my career was super substantial, working two careers because that's what I do. One in sales and the corporate industry, and the second one privately, quietly doing psychic readings for whoever kind of found me. But I was very quiet about that. During that process, there was a lot of like, oh my God, abuse from my parents and my ex-husband and the entire congregation of like, man, just watching me, thinking I was having affairs on my husband. None of that happened, by the way. Like, none of it. I was too insecure. Like, I'm going to give my body to someone. I hated myself, and broken because of this custody battle. A lot of pain. I don't know how much detail to go into there, but my ex-husband would hide my children from me. And because I was homeless, like, what am I going to do? Right. He would show up at my work location with my baby, my son, and walk by I worked at a fitness facility that was in like a mall at the time. And he would walk by with my son in his arms, knowing I would see him, and then take off running. And my son would be leaning over his shoulder, being like, Mama, Mama. And I hadn't seen him in like, I don't know, like a week at this point. That's my baby. I hurt a lot. And then the amount of judgment and ridicule that was put on me for being a mom who didn't have her children. Wow, it was really hard too. That was probably the hardest, actually. Not seeing my babies and having to fight for them. And every penny I made going to lawyers. And the emotional abuse, people from the congregation coming to the gym and watching me to see who I was talking to. And I'm a friendly person. So then, oh my God, I'm obviously a whore. Um, Brutal. So turned on my skills at that point and said, fuck it. I'm not going to abandon myself anymore. I'm not going to unlove myself anymore. And I dove into one, my career, because the money had to be there. And I didn't understand at this point that money is currency, not frequency. And you just simply have to align with desire, and boom, whatever you need is there. I didn't know this yet. So busting my ass working at the same time, trying to discover who I am, at the same time being 23 and not having a youth, not having that freedom that a 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old had, and not having my children, and trying to distract myself with, dates or whatever, just trying to figure it all out, right? Trying not to be in my pain, avoiding my pain, not surrendering into it. And then once I turned on my gifts, it started. And I went through a lot of hell in my 20s, man, just trying to be safe, really trying to be safe, and didn't know that I could do it alone. So leaned into a very toxic relationship. And at that, when I realized that I deserved more, became independent, got my own place, custody, my children. Took quite a bit of time. I think it was about 27 at this point. Um, which is hard when you know your kids are going to have abandonment issues. And I'm being portrayed as possessed by the devil by my ex-husband. And he's teaching my children that I am a horrible person. And the rumors in the congregation and the conversations between my parents and him in front of my children, and having to like, oh, fucking bite my tongue, man. And I had this philosophy in myself that the light will shine in the end. Just be the best thing you can be. And so in the beginning, it was very toxic. Like I was a screamer. I would pick up when we finally figured out this custody situation, and I'd have to meet my ex-husband. Oh, aggressive, like fiery, angry. And then one day in the middle of an argument, caught myself and I was like, this is not, no. I just stopped it. And I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm never going to talk to you like this again. I'm not doing it. You can do whatever you want. You be you. I'm stepping up. I'm leveling up. This is not how this is going anymore. And my children watched that happen. And then my children watched me go through the healing process, which was long as F. Oh my God. So fast forward a little bit more, second marriage, divorce, went into, again, desperately. So I would have been 30, 32 maybe, desperately trying to be kept, to be safe, to figure it out, oversharing, over independent. I became my own man. I like, and then I started to settle into myself a little bit. As I started to settle into myself a little bit and started that deep healing, a very powerful narcissist came into my life, did all the love bombing, all the right things. He was quite a bit older. He was quite mansome. Yeah, not handsome, but mansome. Um, and just sort of wooed me in. And before I knew it, was moved himself right into my condo. Um, and then I hit my dark night of the soul. I became a narcissist. Really good one too, by the way. That's a skill apparently. Um, I think we all have narcissistic tendencies. And I was raised by a narcissist. So yeah, I stepped right into that. And I just matched his energy hard, powerful, maybe overmatched it actually in moments. Um, but he did some serious damage to my children and my lifestyle and my finances. However, hit my dark night of the soul. I spent 8 months, found out I had cancer, kept that quiet. At this point, my mom had sort of surfaced back into my life and my sister a little bit, mildly. Um, but I'm a very private person and I'm perceived as very strong. And so there was a lot of comments on being too strong, being insensitive, which maybe I was unknowingly, but never my intention. My heart, I'm the most sensitive heart in the whole wide world. Like, oof. But I wasn't vulnerable because I didn't trust them yet. They both abandoned me twice at this point and sort of surfaced back in. And so this is about 9 years ago now. And found out I had cancer right before Mother's Day. In my dark night of the soul, knowing that I can't end my life because I have children, but let me tell you how badly I wanted to. I was done. I spent months crying in bed, paralyzed by my dark night of the soul, not knowing that it was a dark night of the soul. This wasn't a conversation 10 years ago, right? 9 years ago. So I didn't know what I was going through and internalized it as there's something wrong with me. Why can't I get it together? And I have moments of inspired action. And then I would have moments of absolute despair. And Mother's Day comes along. And that was, I needed to just be me. It was the first Mother's Day that I had both my children because my ex, being a Jehovah's Witness, they don't celebrate that. And he was very much against them participating in those things. So here I am with a preteen and a teen who are going through their own tribulations. Oh my gosh, such a hard time in my life. And I have a Mother's Day and I find out I have cancer and I've yet to tell anyone. And so I take some time quietly. And because of that, was abandoned again by my mom and my sister. Fun, real fun. They ran away for the last time. Um, and my fault apparently, for, having that one boundary. So I understand how hard it is to set boundaries and how scary it can be, right? So, dark night of the soul. And then I realized, all right, if nothing changes, nothing changes. I was super fit previous to cancer, terrified. It wasn't a death sentence. It was a simple procedure, a little bit of hormone therapy. Kept it very quiet, did not share with anyone. Lost a corporate career because of it. That's a whole other thing. And then one day I was like, all right, now what? I can't reside here. Now what? And so I decided to face fear head on. I decided, okay, I'm giving myself 4 weeks to go and learn every fear and where it comes from. And I dove. Oh man, I dove. And here's like a really interesting point that I want to share with you. Because, like, I understand, I resonate, I know the fear, the abuse, the neglect, the abandonment, the pain, the mom guilt, the fear of financially being independent, the lack of safety or foundation. I get it. And so when I decided to go into my pain and create change, I faced every single fear and said to myself in the mirror, what's going to hurt more? Feeling what you're feeling right now, not loving yourself for the rest of your life, being terrified for the rest of your life, or taking a month to go in and change it. And we know the dark night of the soul sucks ass, man. Oh, it hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's heavy. It's painful. What I know going through that is it didn't hurt as much as spending 20 something years aching for purpose and aching for love and aching for freedom. So, do you want long term, slow peel off that band aid? Or you want to just fix it and change it forever? So I did. And it was uncomfortable and it was messy, a lot of emotion, mostly anger at first, which then turned into deep sadness and the realization of abandonment. And then I realized while doing my inner child work, hanging out with my 8-year-old self, she's sitting on the couch beside me. We're looking at each other. I have a great imagination. And she's like, we've always been together. And that, oh my God, I am the imaginary friend that you had. What the fuck? What? And the promise of one day I will never drop you. I will never abandon you. I will never make you feel small. I will never ignore your needs. I will never stop nurturing you. I will protect you and you will be free. And there was that moment. All the tears, right? All the tears. But the freedom in that moment. And so if nothing changes, nothing can change. And so I changed. And it takes sacrifice. Sure does. It takes determination. It takes focus. It takes willingness. You do not have to be capable. You just have to be willing, and capability will find you. So I changed, and I got really brave, and I got really fierce. And every day it got better and better and better every day. And every year I reflected back on, who the hell was that? Like, I don't recognize her anymore. That still happens now. I've been on this journey. I've been teaching this, exclusively teaching this full time, by the way. No other career, full time submerged into this for just about a decade now, going through that process with the promise of and the knowing of, I can take you as far as I am. I don't know what's beyond this, but I can get you here. And so each year levels up, levels up, levels up, levels up, levels up. And so each year, each month almost now, but I could take you as far as I am. The healing journey, it's not done. There's no destination with your healing journey. And I think that's a huge misconception. And I think that's spiritual narcissism. If someone is saying, I'm healed, yay. Oh, look, 11:11. No, fuck that. No. Healing is an endless journey. Your awakening is an endless journey. There's no finish line. There's no end to it at all. And being awake or enlightened doesn't look like me standing on a fucking beach with my arms open to the sun, all pretty and perfect with like, oh, my newest program. Nope, doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like 5 steps to manifestation. That's a load of crock. Shit. It doesn't look like it's so perfect and easy on the other side. No, it doesn't look like that. It looks like a discovery process. It looks like the ability to immediately or within moments recognize your vibration and where it's coming from. It looks like the ability to co-create with universal flow. It looks like the ability to say, I deserve, I desire, that, align, receive. It looks like filling up your bucket and knowing how to do that when it gets depleted. Doesn't look like any of these other falsified bullshit, fluffy, namaste, Lululemon, mandala necklaces crap. That's not spiritual. That's spiritual ego, which is a phase, by the way. That's 4th dimensional consciousness. You have to go through spiritual ego, by the way. 100%. Oh, I nailed it. All of the things. I nailed spiritual ego. Let me tell you, we are going through an evolutionary process from 3rd dimensional consciousness to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, anywhere in between that. 4th dimensional consciousness is spiritual ego. And it's glorious and it's exciting and it's fulfilling and it's rewarding and it's addictive. And it's like, oh my God. And all the synchronicities, the 11:11, the 2:22, all of those things, right? I've restructured those numbers, by the way. Once I fully understood the power 369 and quantum entanglement, my outlook on spiritual awakening, we are in an evolutionary process. Everything is an energetic vibration. Angels, galactic energies, you, and everything in between. And so 11:11 isn't a message from your angels. That's not how it works. So I've restructured it to show you you are the vibration that the universal flow is responding to. You are universal flow. It is not separate from you. It's another pet peeve of mine when people are like, Trust the universe. You are the fucking universe. What are you doing? Or all in divine timing. No, all in alignment. It's all in what you're aligned with. There is no such thing as divine timing. There is no such thing as time. There's no such thing as the universe. There's not the universe is not a ball of source energy up in the universe, this white glowing ball or whatever fucking color you think it is. That's like, oh, okay, there we go. So time is now going to take this step, this step. Okay, let's line her up, guys. Don't put your power outside of yourself. You are universal flow. I go into great depth in when I'm teaching the Power 369 and moving from survive to thrive with this, but you are not separate from the universe. You are flow. So don't put your power outside of yourself. When I was in fourth dimensional consciousness, it's almost funny to look back. Like I'm sure there's videos somewhere of like your angels. Like, and when I started getting visions and I started astral projecting and astral traveling, when I started like going into a deep meditation, the first time I levitated, I've levitated about 8 times now. Not very high though, mind you. Um, and that's something that I'm like trying to figure out with universal flow and like perception, reality, density. Like I'm playing with that still. So I'm not mastering it. I can't take you to that point yet. It's just something that's happening, has been happening for on and off for about 8 years. I don't understand how the fuck it's happening yet though. So working on that. Spiritual eagle, yeah. So that's a phase, and that's a beautiful phase. But what I'm seeing right now and why I'm so passionate or fiery or crusty, spicy, salty about it, not because I think I know more or know better. I just know my journey and what I can take my clients through. No judgment towards it, but it hurts me to watch people project it, workshops, whatever with it, because I feel that holding you there in fourth dimensional consciousness is actually slowing down your ability to freedom. And I think that it's toxic. I think it's toxic to write a list of gratitude things, 10 reasons why you're grateful. I think that's toxic. I think it's false. I don't think it's real. You are a human still. You are in a human body. You are experiencing being human. You have an ego. It's not to be shunned. That is, in fact, your experience. Your experience is the ego. You are always source, consciousness, universal flow. You always are. You always will be. You chose this body. You chose this name. You chose this experience. Now, having said that, all the bullshit that's going on in your life, you didn't choose that, baby. You didn't. You didn't choose. I did not sign up for an endless stream of narcissism. I didn't sign up to have my flesh and my bones broken by a man. I did not sign up to have my body completely destroyed by a woman. I did not sign up for those things. I signed up to master moving through fear. I signed up to master that. I prolonged my lessons. I prolonged my experiences. This is going to be a hard pill to swallow. Ready? 100%. Really hard pill to swallow. And please take this with love. Everything you're enduring and experiencing is because of your vibration. It's because of your beliefs, your hidden subconscious beliefs that you deserve to be destroyed, that you are not worthy of freedom, or that freedom isn't possible. That babe, that inner child, that babe was taught some hard lessons, was shown some hard lessons on what not to do. The more you abandon yourself, the more you avoid the shadow self, the more you resist stepping into your power, the more you align with the fucking bullshit, the more you experience it until you finally say, if nothing changes, nothing changes. I learned that the hard way. And when I had that moment sitting on the front porch on Mother's Day, having my mother abandon me for the very last time, knowing that I would never see my sister again, the trust is too broken on both ends. Knowing that that bridge is burned, knowing that my womb was growing cancer, knowing that I had to create change and make sacrifice. That was my moment. Didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it. Was done. So don't do what I did. I joke, but like dead serious. Fucking did it the hard way, so you don't have to. My whole life, everything, done it the hard way. So you don't have to. I know better. I know better. I don't have a machete to blaze a trail. I've got a fucking blowtorch. And I know how, and I am the fucking fire. That's what I want for you. I don't want you to do it the hard way. I don't want you to feel the pain anymore. Mm-mm. I don't want you to get caught up in spiritual narcissism. I don't want you to get caught up that 1111 is somehow your savior and everything's going to be okay. No. I don't want you to get caught up in being dependent on your cards, your tarot cards, your oracle cards, your pendulum, your tools. I want you to understand that you are and always have been in full control. You are 100%, 100% in control. It's up to you when you realize that. It's up to you when you become willing to acknowledge that. It's up to you when you stop and ask, what the fuck is the hidden belief vibration that's creating this shit? And you discover it and you heal it. You transform it. You never release it. There's nothing to release. You transform it. You take it, you see it, you love it, you honor it, and you transform it. It doesn't leave you. It changes. And when you get that, join my fire. It's big. It's free. It's the most incredible freedom. And when I say all of that, so here I am, a woman now, 44, and I've gone through the mud, the swamp, the quicksand, I don't know, like the shit, right? I'm on the other end, 100% on the other end. I don't know what consciousness level I'm in, if I'm 5D, 60, 70, I don't fucking care. I don't need a label to define my freedom. I'm not going to preach that because I think that's narcissistic. What I do know is I know how to fully align. I know how to morph, transform my energy. I have gone from a corporate world to despair, to homeless, and rebuilt myself. And for several years now, I have been full-time independent in a company that makes over 6 figures. And I started out by doing fucking psychic readings. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have an agenda. I just knew I wanted to be of service. And in order for me to be of service, I can only offer you what I am. And so this is the kicker. Whatever the fuck you are is what you're going to get. Those are the clients you're going to get. That's the inspiration you're going to get. That's the next stepping stone you're going to get. I don't want you wasting time sitting on the fucking couch like I did with this massive vision, this big vision. It's much bigger than I ever thought it could be, to be honest. Like, we are fucking global. Blows my mind. Blows my mind that I get to talk with souls all over this planet. Like it literally blows my mind and how easy it is now. How fulfilling it is now. Like, oh my God. I have pinch me moments every day. Like, what is happening? I love it. But I used to sit on the couch with the vision, manifest it and visualize it and do the 5 steps of manifesting, whatever the fuck those steps were, right? Write in my gratitude journal and do all the things and journal and discover, like, oh yeah, nothing happened. Nothing. Nothing. I get little signs. So how many signs have you been getting for how long? What is the thing you desire? Is it love? Is it soul purpose? What is it? It hurts, right? It hurts. Hurts like a bitch, man. What kind of saying is that, by the way? Hurts like a bitch. I had a process. I'm going to look that up. What a weird saying. But it hurts. It aches. It's painful. It's uncomfortable. That ache for the thing you desire will eat you up and consume you. 100%. And so we visualize and we manifest and we meditate and we do yoga and we eat better and we do all these things and nothing fucking happens. We pick a sign and we get the sign over and over and over and over and over again. And we see 11, 11 and 222 and 333 and 444. And we get all of the signs and we connect to our angels, and they're not even angels, by the way, but anyway. And we have great meditations, but nothing happens. All the signs are there, but there's no food, there's no substance. Where is it? Hold on a little. Divine timing. Oh, it's just divine timing. Got this. We get like a client. We're like, oh my God, see, it's happening. And then nothing else happens because you're not in alignment. You're not. I did it for years. I sat there brainstorming, processing, writing programs, putting myself on social media, putting my message out and getting nothing or very little. It's because hidden in my subconscious was a belief that it was going to be hard, or that it wasn't possible, or that I wasn't worthy, or who was I to bring it to the world. Motherfucking diamond no is who I am. Like, fuck's sakes. I am a woman who knows what not to do. 100%. And because I know what not to do, and I've done all the not to do, I know exactly what to do. I figured it out. I hacked the code. I figured it out. And so I don't want you wasting time in this vision and obsessing neurotically over the vision or searching for it or looking for it or falsifying or lying to yourself over it. I want you to align with it. I want you to become the vibrational match. I want you to become the biggest fucking fire that screams this way, this way. Then you can stand there. And that's all you have to do. You have to become, we hear this, become the change you want to see in the world. Well, are you doing that? Your world. In your world. You want love? How much do you love yourself? Do you go to the mirror and look for the thing you don't want to see? How much do you love yourself? Can't have love if you don't love you. Can't have clients if you're not the product. Become the vibration. Become the thing. Boom. Hit you. And then you're like, oh, what do I want to be next? This is an inside job 100% of the time, all of the time. And when you align in quantum physics, the way this works, when you align, the vibrational match of the highest possible outcome will take the path of least resistance to you because it's magnetic, for lack of a better word. It's that simple. The hard part is, what the hell's in the subconscious? That's the hardest part, is what is in the subconscious. What's going on in there? Because it's 95% of your consciousness is sub. It's deep, it's buried. And our ego doesn't know how to say, we have commitment issues, or we don't love ourselves. Our ego doesn't know how to do that. And I saw this TikTok. Oh, ready for a rant? I saw this TikTok of this dude. I don't even know why I'm still following. I think for the entertainment piece. Oh, This motherfucker. I'm judging. Okay. I'm judging. This is my ego judging, but also my soul judging for a reason. Saw him doing a dual TikTok live where he was convincing a woman who is in the turmoil. She is in my ego. I can't tell the difference between my ego and my soul. I don't know what to do. And this dude says to her, "Oh, the ego is a trickster. The ego is purposely trying to defeat you. The ego is purposely trying to fool you. It is a trickster. It is an evil mechanism. It is going to always try to put you down and take you there and blah, 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 blah." And I was like, oh my God, I want nothing more than to duet this and be like, what is wrong with you? Because that is not it. Your ego will tell you the story that will lead you to what you chose to believe in your subconscious. It only knows how to tell a story. It's like a wild stallion or like a toddler. It's human. So it will say, wow, we look like we've gained some weight. What is it really saying? Do we love our body? It would be too easy if this was like, okay, so today we're working on self-worth 101. We're going to start with, it's not what it does. Not even when you're fully fucking awake, it doesn't do that. It goes, that's uncomfortable. So that you can go, oh, what are we looking at? Oh, look at that. Your ego is your biggest tool. It is responsible for your personality. It is responsible for your sense of humor. It is responsible for your choices. It is responsible for, that tastes good. It is responsible for desire. It is your imagination. This is your imagination. Your imagination is the gateway to freedom. This is not something to shun. And the more time you spend shunning your ego, thank you, Eckhart Tolle, for bringing that to the table. Jesus. The more time you spend shunning the ego, the more time you are going to stay stuck. You have to become friends with your ego. You have to learn the way it works, honor it, observe it. I'm pretty sure that's what Eckhart Tolle was trying to say. Just become the observer of like, oh, what's going on? Curiosity. Curiosity. Like, why is that what we want to talk about right now? Why is that what we want to stress about or be anxious about right now? What's the actual fear? What's going on? Oh, there it is. Oh, now I know what to do. Pretty sure that's what he was trying to say, but everybody took it as like the ego is a horrible thing, shut it down and ignore it. And when you can finally conquer your ego and put it to the side and be like, then you can have rant. End scene. Let's get that rant done. Your ego is a beautiful mechanism. It is responsible for all of the human qualities that you are and the desires and the sense of humor and the laughter. These are beautiful. What brings you joy? Ego. What brings your human pleasure? Ego. Your ego is okay. Just learn it, soften it. When it goes into fear, pause it. I treat mine like a baby bunny, like it's ridiculous, okay? But whatever works, whatever works. This is my tool. I imagine an abandoned baby bunny trembling in the corner, or sometimes a wild wolf trapped in a corner. And if I am yelling at it, or if I am stomping around or ignoring it or being aggressive, like, what is wrong with you? Blah, 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 blah. Or like, I'm not giving you any attention. It's never going to come out of that fear-based state. It's going to continue to tremble, or if I'm in the wolf state, it's going to snarl. So instead, I'm like, hey, the moment it goes off, hey, let's take a breath for a minute. What are we really, really feeling? What are we afraid of right now? What's the truth here? What's under that? Do you want to get curious with me? And then I find it. I go in and I find it. I go, oh, okay. Let's put some focus on this for a bit. Let's change that story. When you do that, you're healing the root And it may remanifest itself into something else until you really have healed the deep root, but you'll heal it and then it won't happen anymore. That that is an evolved human. I want you to do that. Okay. I've been ranting long enough. I got to go jump in the shower because I've got client calls now. Plus, I really have to pee because I had 2 cups of coffee today, which I'm not supposed to do, but I did it. And it's delicious, and I'm not shaming myself over it. All right. If nothing changes, nothing changes. So I want you to process, where are you willing to get uncomfortable? Where are you willing to get uncomfortable right now? You do not have to be capable because capability follows the willingness. That's all. So what are you willing to look at today? Let's go into it. Let's find it. Let's celebrate it. All right. Day 14. It's getting good. It's a really cool journey. All right. I love you.